I gotta say, the hammer pick came out for the I circled the wrong team in my notebook. It was this team, Reborne. Okay, because I wrote it backwards earlier, but either way, no, the hammer pick came out so well, so good for them, and I think that was the discussion that we had in the draft and also loading in and the early game. It was the early game. They picked a composition that was going to play into the late game, and they hit their 10 talents, and at that point you saw them start to get those sneak picks onto Gul'dan with the taunts, and they were burning a few assets to get these, almost 3 heroics, and they get the burn on just the Decker Cane. But the thing is, that starts to build momentum, and at one point we were seeing, I think it was like they were achieving 20 at the point where NEWMERICS was hitting 17, 18 areas. So
Mhm.
definitely it was one of those things that they struggled till 10, but once they got that 10, they blew past the enemy team and they weren't able to deal with the Sergeant Hammer. And you put it perfectly. You talked a little bit about the Gul'dan talents, and I think, not to harp on it, but I do think that affected them a little bit. I think the corruption stacks that could have come out from the echoed corruption would have been a little bit stronger for them here. But I mean, you never know. I mean, Fellflame could have just been their jam, and they were like, we got it with this. We've done it in the past, but who knows?
Yeah, I'll be honest, the Fellflame build was my go-to on Gul'dan for a long time, but
Mhm.
then as the resurgence of Echoed Corruption showed up in HGC, I started to realize just how powerful the 16 talent is with that build, where you get that impact damage on every single hit of the corruption. And with the return, when you complete the Echoed Corruption quest, there's so much potential damage on the plate there that it's really tough to give up. Even though you've got that steady push with the Fellflame, it just doesn't add up to the burst that you need to really get through the type of healing that Malfurion can put out, because he's very good at handling that low burst that Fellflame puts out. Let's just talk about damage a little bit, though. Sergeant Hammer, 223,000
Oh yeah.
siege damage and 107k hero damage. Far and away the top damage dealer in that game on either side.
The other thing to note too, Sergeant Hammer never once got in the Dragonite. And to have that level, if you've ever played like quick match, have you ever done that in the past? Like you've played quick match on Dragonshire, and then you go into your stats and you're just like, I just out sieged the person who got Dragonite 3 times. Like how? And then like I look at the stats and I'm just like, that hammer did work, and that's the exact same situation. I think the one time, both times actually, I think it was Blaze that ended up getting into the Dragonite. Um, and so it just, I gotta say, just hats off to Reborn here, coming out with a really interesting tactic in this game one of the best of 3 series, and doing well with it, honestly. And I would say, based on what were the draft, kind of as expected.
Yeah, it was exactly what we talked about, in the sense that protect the hammer is the game plan for Reborn, and they did that to an absolute T. They gave up 4 kills all game long, and all they had to do was fight under the umbrella of that floating hover siege tank, and that was all they needed to do to win that game.
So it looks like we are going to be going into Infernal Shrines for our next matchup here. So that does kind of change things up for us a little bit here. We're going to have to leave our party, and then we're going to have to swap over to a different channel. So let's go ahead and do that now and just get that all set up. It's a little bit of a midstream hiccup, but it's just the quickest way we can deal with this. Make sure that we also get we can see the game too. So let's go into that channel as well. All right, and I should have you here.
I'm pretty sure we're all here.
Yes.
I'm here.
All right.
You're here.
I got you. I got you.
As long as production's here, we should be okay.
All right. Yeah, we've got everyone. I can count 4 people in the channel. So let me also. We'll just have to have production will set up those things, and we'll just we'll give them a little bit of time here, as they're going to need to set up a little bit of a little fix that we have for our stream. But going into and I just threw my pen across the table, but we are going to be going into Infernal Shrines as our next map, and I didn't see, I don't know if you caught who had picked that up by chance.
It is a map pick from Reborne. NEWMERICS taking first pick in the draft.
You know what, I have to say it, I mentioned Infernal Shrines in the last draft, and it's on me. It's on me that we're going to be going to this map, but we are going to be going to Infernal Shrines, and I'm super excited about this, because I think it's one of those maps that you can pull out some really interesting compositions, and you can definitely get a lot of really good plays here. Like for example, like Gul'dan. A Gul'dan on this map, I think, can be a completely different story. Now, at the same time, we also need to consider that there can be another Sergeant Hammer. It does work on this map as well. I do think.
Yeah, there's Infernal Shrines is one of those maps where there's actually a lot of opportunity to bring out heroes from the pocket strat pool of drafting. You know, the Kerrigan we saw last night that didn't quite work out for Triple C. Kerrigan is not bad on Infernal Shrines. Put her on the shrine, killing the Guardian. Sonya as well. Haven't seen a lot of Sonya recently. She seems to have fallen off in the meta with the rise of Yrel and Blaze as the solo laners of the day. Could definitely see that kind of slide into, especially with her ability to solo camp on a map like Infernal Shrines, where there's 5 camps to pick up throughout the map. That's a lot of ground to cover with that kind of hero.
Sorry, I'm checking on little things here, just little production things. But all right, no, it looks like everything is all set. But yeah, no, Infernal Shrines, it's a map that it also can be extremely snowbally. So we need to consider the fun things that we can get that can push lanes, like for example Sylvanas, and as well as maybe a Cho'Gall. I mean, the brawly nature of it, the AoE. If you're up in a series, do you consider taking that risk, or do you just say, you know what, we 2-0 this series, we take those 75 points and the $100, and we'll see you next week?
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to say. I mean, like, I've been in this situation before where not necessarily as a player, but as a caster, where I've just seen teams be okay with taking the points and just you know, running it down mid, go RM for game 2, right? Just all random, all mid, and let's see what happens. But you know, it really depends, I think, on how your team wants to approach the Open Division. Are you guys trying to really make a run at the Crucible? And if you are, I think the only option is to take it as seriously as humanly possible.
I think that's the thing is, like, we harped on this a lot last night, but points are points, and you should like, even if you just get 10, like, it's still great that you're getting 10 points. You're setting yourself up to get a little bit extra in these series, and I don't know, like, for me, it's always go for the maximum possible. And personally, I think if you're on the side of Reborne, you definitely want to do that. You want to go ahead and hit those 75. And the other thing too is $100 for 5 members. That's a pizza party for each person. And we've got we've got not Memorial Day. We've got 4th of July coming up tomorrow in the United States. So maybe it buys them some burgers instead of pizza. But either way, I mean, like, that's still like a little bit of, it's nice to have that extra little bit of cash and be like, all of our hard work from the last day and a half of play, basically, it literally paid itself off. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it's always a cool feeling, especially if you've never actually won money in competitive esports before. It's that cool feeling to win something for the first time, be like, you know what, I just won $100 for playing a video game. That's actually kind of cool.
Like, I don't know, like, I did an interview with I'm seeing their chat, and they're just like, where are the casters? Are the casters not joining us anymore? Like, like, I did like a little bit of work for Heroes of the Storm at one point, like, not the company or anything, but like, I got, I did some, like, a guest spot on a podcast, and I was just like, they were just like, oh, here's like $10, and I'm like, but no, like, don't give me money, like, keep it, like, put it back into your podcast. But like, it felt amazing to get that little bit of recognition when you did something, and you said it kind of perfectly, is you get to play Heroes of the Storm and then get money for it. Like, living the dream, esports pro right there. Just quit your job and that's it, right?
Yeah, let me tell you, when I was in my 20s, I would have given anything to make money playing video games. Instead, all I got was married, a job, a mortgage. I got adulting. And believe me, I'd give anything to go back and be able to play video games and win money. And it's just such a cool thing to me to see that, even though I personally feel like I missed a lot of waves, like I missed YouTube becoming a thing. I really missed Twitch becoming a thing, to be honest, to like the really early adopters of Twitch and just game streaming in general. But to be able to have seen the nascent growth of esports in the last while, and just how far it's come to the point where even down at the community level, like, sure, this is the first step really in the way to the pro division, and there's obviously prize support from Blizzard in that respect. But there's a lot of other places out there that you can win $60 playing playing a tournament. Just 16 teams get through a couple of rounds and bam, I just made money playing a video game.
That's like that. I don't know. It's such a cool feeling. Like I remember my best friend played like a Smash tournament when we were a kid. Like when we were, I wouldn't say kids, but when we were really young, and like he won it, and he won a sweater, and we were just like, that's the coolest thing on earth. But let's get back into this as we are going to be getting into game number 2 here. On the left hand side, we have Reborne, and on the right we have NEWMERICS. And Reborne going to be going ahead and grabbing the Yrel Johanna. And do I have this backwards or something? Because it looks like this is a kind of the opposite draft almost.
Oh man, the bands are pretty similar, but I love the composition coming out of Team NEWMERICS right now. Sonya, like we were talking about in the in between these two games, really good shrine control, very good at getting camps, rotating around the map, just doing Sonya things. And then Alexstrasza and Diablo. Alexstrasza, very good healing, percentage-based healing with the Circle of Abundance on the ground. A little bit easy to counter if you have the right timing, but with the front line showing up in Sonya and Diablo, the ability to just kind of get deep, get people out of position and focus them down once we see what the range choices come in for them is going to be. I'm really excited to see what they've got in their sleeves.
So we actually have a Chromie ban as well. Like, really? That's interesting to me that we're going to be getting the Chromie ban. I mean, it is kind of the same setup, so I don't blame them, but maybe they just don't really want to deal with it on the side of Reborn, especially the poke damage that can come out. And it's the same situation that I talked about on Dragonshire, but at this point, you're going to have all 5 members clumped in one little shrine. So, yeah, Chromie's a nuisance on this map. I can't blame them for banning it.
Yeah, it's the type of burst damage that front line with that Alexstrasza healer is really looking for, I think. And it takes a lot of options off the board, I think, because Chromie, with the range that little gnome has, is so devastating. I was playing on the PTR against an AI Chromie, and the key reading ability of the elite AI in this game is ridiculous. That Chromie had like 140 stacks in a 12-minute game. It hurt. I actually lost. Chromie just destroyed me at every turn.
They can snipe you, and the bots are just rude sometimes.
Yeah, the elite bots they're beatable, but man, they remind you that they are cheating on every potential avenue that they can.
You in that bush? Oh, we know.
It's like, oh, you're gonna rotate this way? Just let me drop the time trap right in your path as you're about to come through here.
Exactly. They're like, we know where you're gonna go. We already can see your pathing. But at this point, we do have.
Oh, hold up, that Tychus ban. There's no way. There's no way this last pick is a Cho'Gall.
I mean, you could do it. That is your main source of damage, so it is a little risky. But
yeah, they don't snap it in. So
I will say this: I personally, I don't think it's going to be a Cho'Gall, honestly.
No, I'm going back to like the round of 32 dream where we're going to go.
Yeah, it was Triple C versus Team Maroon, if I'm not mistaken. On the Tomb of the Spider, we got the Cho'Gall game. The one thing that the Tychus ban, I don't hate it because of the fact that they do have the Sonya, they have the Diablo, and the other thing too is I think the Tychus would have rounded out their draft fairly well. Commandeer Odin is a phenomenal tool for sieging and anti-siege as well. It's got good disengage, it's got ranged poke as well as ranged kind of poke into, a push and pressure with an immortal. So definitely a really, really good asset. And taking that off the table, I'm not opposed to it whatsoever. The other thing too is maybe they just don't want to have to deal with that. The other thing is the grenade that you can get that repositioning from it. But a Junkrat and a Hanzo going to be coming out. Ooh, I like the poke from the Junkrat, and Hanzo provides great vision as well as some really, really good setup into the Diablo.
Yeah, that's a perfect couple of damage dealers. But it's Protect the Hammer comp again for Reborn, this time with a different setup on the front line as they opt for the Johanna Yrel combo with the Falstad and the Deckard. I'm not sure which composition I like more.
At this point with the Junkrat, I'm a little worried about Reborn's draft here. I'm not going to lie. They've got some really, really good poke damage into that hammer, and I think it's going to be the same thing again. I think they're going to struggle with this. It's going to be one of those things that they're going to have to work their way up from level 10 to definitely get the damage into them. But overall, I think it's going to be, for Reborn, it's going to be a 10 game. For the members of NEWMERICS, if they can get some early momentum and just keep pushing with that, that is, I think, their big asset, and they really need to get that early and continue to just have that mentality and apply that logic.
Yeah, I think this composition, at least as far as their frontline goes, is going to have an easier time getting to Hammer. The question is going to be whether or not they're able to pull Hammer out of position and let Junkrat and Hanzo follow up, because you know that Hammer is going to be back. They're going to be fighting under that umbrella, and that makes it, really difficult for Hanzo to be able to kind of bank in the arrows and try and find the damage output that they're going to need to burst down the Sergeant Hammer.
So let's go ahead and get into this. As we get into game number 2, we will find out if Reborn is going to end the night or if the members of NEWMERICS will be able to take us to a game 3, as we have Showtime going to be on the Sonya, Valimar going to be on the Deckard Cain, Winterheart going to be on the Falstead, Unaverted on the Hammer, and D-Rec going to be on the Joanna.
It's actually Showtime on the Urel. On the right side, trying
to
come back from the 1-0 deficit, it is Team NEWMERICS. Kwanzaa on the Junkrat, Caesar Salad playing the Alex Straza, Astabroth on the Diablo, Hayun on Hanzo, and Zabatek on the Sonya.
She looks, on my monitor right now, the way it looks to me is I was like, that's a Sonya, and I was just
It's
like, the moment you said it.
It's the Mad Jester skin. It just looks kind of like that Sonya skin at a distance.
It really did, but let's go ahead and get into this as we have the members going into this mid lane, and they're going to be doing some nice little pressure back and forth between the two. They get the root from the Deckard Cain, but overall, just some pokes going to be coming out as we do have Urel and Sonya going into that top lane for the solo battle of eternity as the rotations come out. And we talked about Deckard Cain in rotations before, and I can't talk enough about how much I love the ability just to drop the potions as needed, so you have them between the 2 lane rotations. You can take them and just continually just sustain yourself in a sense, and Deckard's just mostly there to just get that lockdown, the utility, and just make sure that everyone is set up really, really nice. Is D-Rec actually going to get repositioned by the Junkrat? Going to be maybe falling? No, my God. Valimar with the heal, and that won't be a kill of the game just yet.
Yeah, potions. It was actually, sorry, I've got the right hero there. Kane's on the blue side there. I, for some reason, see red potions. that Kane was on the side of Team NEWMERICS there. But no, the potions, they just being down, being able to set up before a team fight comes out, gives Deckard Cain so much utility in his healing. And the one thing that his healing mechanic on the surface looked kind of weird when he was first announced, but you see it in practice and you go, man, I can just set up all this healing and my team can just take it on demand. And even if I need an on-demand heal, I can do that by pulling away a potion from somewhere else and just respawn it as a throw directly to a hero that needs it.
I think it's one of the things that I love the most about him is that you can take those potions and then change them into anything. If you have a member of your team that burns through a lot of mana, the rejuvenation at level 4 is a great talent to just go ahead and just buff that back up. So there's a lot. I've said this to other people. I think Deckard Cain has one of the most the most variety in his talent diversity, where you can change his build into what map you're going into, what composition you're going to, and what your own composition will be. And that's what I love about what they've done with this hero. And I think they're doing this with a lot of others. They're trying to give that versatility to them. But currently just going to have rotations coming out from these teams. We have Sonya splitting off at this point to go ahead and grab a camp and have that pressure into the top lane, as the first Immortal will be, the first Punisher will be spawning in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I like that camp decision. We see Falstead on the side of Reborn also going over and doing that same thing. It looks like Urel might rotate in and help out, as the remaining 3 members of Team Reborn sitting in the vents there, just kind of waiting, looking to set up, fight underneath the umbrella of the Sergeant Hammer siege mode. There is both hard camps looking to be picked up right around the same time, so those should cancel each other out in the top lane. And that means the fight now focusing down on the Punisher Shrine here in the bot lane.
We have Sonya already going in, just working on that backline to get the clear, and Sonya's a phenomenal hero for this, as you mentioned in draft. So just utilizing that whirlwind to continually get the burn onto the skeletal defenders. 11-14 at this point, as we do have Showtime stepping up. We have actually the Dragon Form will be coming out from Caesar's Salad. They're gonna want to try and disengage from this, as they do actually get a 3-member lock from the Decker Cane on that scroll ceiling. But we have Diablo stepping out here, Winterheart getting a little bit low. They're going to get the Dragon to actually have that little bit of a mini pushback, as Hanzo gonna need to utilize a little bit of a leap over the wall just to make sure they don't die here. But Jay, they're gonna go ahead and control this fairly well on the side of Reborne, actually.
Yeah, 3 more skeletal defenders, 1 more skeletal defender, all they need. This is the Punisher going over to the side of Team NEWMERICS. As an early Punisher, though, shouldn't really get them much, especially against the Hammer, who's already set up at that wall, ready to siege this down. You can see the members of Team NEWMERICS not really pushing with that, although Kwans are looking for the concussion mine over the gate to fit back into the waiting arms, but not enough there as the Unstoppable from Unaverted coming out and keeping away. So front wall going to fall down here. Shouldn't be able to get the fort with this push, but level 7 online now for Team NEWMERICS. Just a slight lead, but not really able to kind of parlay that win on the Shrine into anything bigger.
And I think that's kind of what's to be expected for a first push. The gate, maybe the well, but at this point, I think that's a good push that they got. They didn't get a whole lot of experience advantage. I mean, we're looking at a couple hundred difference between these two teams at this point. But the one thing is they do open up that map a little bit more. And the one thing that we can talk about is having that pressure from taking down the gate. You cannot bait the Immortal, jump over that gate and get that burn and pull it towards the back of your fort. You now have to deal with the team that will encroach extremely hard in that bottom lane. But granted, the thing to consider, top lane will be the next lane for the Punisher. So we have a couple members from NEWMERICS at this point going to go ahead and grab some pressure in the bottom lane. And it looks like they'll actually may get D-Rec knocked back here. Diablo setting up for a potential gank. Looks like they just back off, though.
Yeah, smart ability to back off there. They know they can't really dive into the tower. You don't know really where any of the remaining members of Team Reborn are on the map there. They actually sniff out the camp, looking that they might want to go in, but they'll just back up, clear the camp. Heyoon actually taking the full scatter arrow build on the Hanzo, so you see how much damage he's putting out against those mercenaries. Very easy to clear the camps if they don't pick them up, but they lose out on a little bit of the wave clearing siege potential with how you have to line up the scatter arrow to hit rows of minions in the wave. Makes it a little bit harder for them to kind of play against that Sergeant Hammer in lane, and really kind of has to look for the angles to maximize the damage he puts out in the team fight.
It's one of those things, though, I will say this, that it does, do more damage into the Punisher, as Zabatak is going to be taking a lot of damage here. The one thing, though, is it does offer burn into the Punisher, so if you are getting sieged by that, you do get the, the quicker burn, so it doesn't get as much value. I do like that logic, but you put it forward, excuse me, actually, no, we have a dive going out onto the Junkrat, and they will be falling here, as it's also going to be Diablo just getting out of position, but it doesn't look like they get the kill onto them. Hammer going to be chasing a couple of members out. But no, you said it perfectly. Just trading some of those aspects to really make sure you're getting those skill shots is extremely hard. But if you're a Hanzo god and you're good at it, go for it, I guess.
Well, Zabutak stepping out. It looked like he was going to Hearth earlier, but ends up not doing so. Stepped back out, looking to duel Showtime in the top lane. Winterheart actually rotating up after going down the mid to get the pick onto the Junkrat. And 10's online, but right now, Reborn with the ability to kind of set up in this rotation. Look at D-Rec there, just waiting, looking to pick off the members of NEWMERICS on the way through in this choke point. There's the BFG Caesar Salad getting melted on the Alexstrasza. The Dragon Queen goes down. Mighty Gus coming in. Astaroth on the Diablo. Looks like he's going to lose out on his souls as the 4-man Dragon Arrow from Heyoon comes in, but it's too little too late. And it's 2 down for NEWMERICS here as the rotation positioning for Reborn right now working out perfectly as the bush trap comes in.
That was an awesome play, I gotta say. And also Winterheart to get that single gust onto Diablo was great. And actually the way they played that, the angle was so good that they gusted Diablo straight into the wall, so there was no movement from them, and allowed the team to confirm the kill onto the Deckard, onto the Sonya, if I'm not mistaken.
It was the Alexstrasza.
Thank you, on the Alexstrasza. It's just missing everyone at this point. But we do actually have a brawl going to be happening at this point, as Zabatak will be forced away with the Lornado, but the Alexstrasza going into the Cleansing Flame. Diablo falling so low here. Showtime going to be getting a little bit low. That is going to be the Urel, getting near one of those potions, being able to heal right back up, as we do have the Riptide coming out. Going to get some burst damage onto a couple of these members. The Lightning Breath coming out. Sergeant Hammer going to be falling, but that will also be Diablo falling as well. 1-for-1 trade, but that will actually be a Urel going to the Hanzo.
You want to talk about being a Hanzo god and understanding simple geometry? How about a Yrel walking right next to a wall, and I'm going to put the scatter arrow just below her. Got hit with every single one of those arrows and just absolutely obliterated the Draenei Paladin.
And that's the thing is, like, if you're good at those angles and you can play that way, absolutely 100% do that. Play towards your comforts, and you know, if you can play better with those specific talents and those skills, 100% I encourage it. But this will be another Punisher going over in favor for the members of NEWMERICS here, as they grab a camp in mid lane just to add some pressure on the side of Reborne.
You're actually going to take both camps in that mid lane. You see Yrel on the minimap just grabbing the left one, as well as Unaverted actually going to get caught here. Astaroth with a great flank. Dragon Arrow coming in. Can't quite get along the line. The damage over time. Is Unaverted going to make it? There's the potion from Valimar to keep Sergeant Hammer alive. That was close, as he was just able to get over the line.
The last second blessed shield that came out from Direct there was it was the clutch thing that was needed. Otherwise, Hammer wouldn't have walked away with just the sliver of like 13 health or something at that point. But at this point, we have the Frozen Punisher being finished out by the members of Reborne, 13 to almost 13 in this game, and we're getting into the later half of this, and we're really going to see some. I was thinking we'd see some shifts in play, but actually a Lord Nado going to be coming out. Hey, you're going to be falling so low here, going to get the leap over the wall. The BFT does not get the intended mark, but it looks like Sautic is falling so low here. They get the kill onto the Sonya, maybe looking for more as they continue to chase this a little bit further, Jay.
Great engage coming out from Reborn here. They caught the members of Team NEWMERICS just a little bit too close on the offensive side of the map, and that let the members of Reborn get that engage. Showtime coming in, getting the control, or getting the Yrel, getting the Goomba stomp on Hanzo right there, but getting the slow in as well with the Condemn from D-Reg on the Johanna. There's just so much ability to start a team fight on the side of Reborn that the members of Team NEWMERICS have to really find an isolated opportunity with the Diablo, with the Sonya, to get onto a single member of Reborn, and they just can't find that opening.
Oh, but the members of Reborn found another opening, and they get to pick onto Junkrat at this point and stagger a death. And this late into the game, that's really going to be critical, is not staggering those deaths, because what that does is now you're way longer of a moment being a 5-member team, so that just allows Reborn to rotate around this map, pressure in any way, shape, or form that they want to, and it looks like they'll be going ahead and utilizing Winterheart to go ahead and grab that camp in the top left. I wouldn't be too surprised to see them rotate into bottom lane for that camp as well, but they know this, and they're going to try and get a play onto Winterheart. They're going to steal this away as the Gust goes out, and they say, no thanks, I don't want to kill ourselves and give you any sort of momentum. They give the camp over, and that will be a little bit of a swap here in between the lanes.
Yeah, that was the perfect kind of opportunity that I was saying Team NEWMERICS needed to look for. They were trying to find an isolated member of Reborn and make sure they got that pick, but Falstad, unfortunately, such a good disengage tool in Mighty Gust, and the cooldown being reduced a significant amount in the last couple of patches. I don't remember when the most recent one was, but it has been brought down, so it's the type of cooldown that you can get away with using at a time like that and still have it up for the next team fight if you really need to find it a way to set up a play for the rest of your teammates.
And this looks like it's going to be another play being set up. Are they? I'm a little confused about this. The next Punisher is in bottom, but they're setting themselves up to push top even harder. It's not like they're going to get a keep and have catapult pressure. It will confirm the 16s for them, but they don't need to push a fort for this, as it looks like the members of NEWMERICS want to open up bottom for themselves with this camp.
I actually think they were feinting top to try and set up a move from Team NEWMERICS. You look at the isolation, they get every member of the composition except Diablo. No Soulstone charged up, and it's 4 on to Diablo as he goes down early in this fight. The front line now for NEWMERICS completely weakened and a lot of resources going out, but look at the health bars on the side of Reborn. Only Showtime at half health. The potions from Deckard Cain doing a phenomenal job keeping those health bars up. And look at that. 3 big heroics used on the side of Team NEWMERICS, not a single kill confirmed as a result.
The play was so good that I didn't even notice it happening. I love that they went ahead and they utilized that, flight from Falstad to get right back in there. A little bit risky though, as they actually get some dive onto the Junkrat at this point. Not going to be going for the kill just yet. They get the lock onto Hanzo. Just Showtime just anchored for the team. Gonna go ahead and actually get knocked out by the concussion mine. Maybe have to use Ardent Defender. No, it's actually been used recently, so never mind. That's
actually
on cooldown.
Ardent Defender wasn't actually the heroic pick.
Oh, was it? Did I misread the icon?
Yeah, well, because right when Showtime went and dove in, I'm pretty sure I saw the circle go down for the. I don't even remember what the other one's called because I never pick it.
No, you're fine. Winterheart, though, getting out with just a sliver of health here from that lightning breath, as we actually have a couple members diving in. That will be another Hanzo arrow coming out, getting the stun, but no follow-up damage. Another BFG coming out, just dealing a little bit of damage the same way the Hanzo arrow did as well. And Dragon arrow out, BFG out, and it looks like this will be another Punisher going, or actually the first Punisher going over in favor for Reborne here.
And think about how devastating this Punisher is going to be with the Sergeant Hammer just floating in and being able to fight with that umbrella right around. Astaroth back on the Diablo, but again getting absolutely chunked in the front line as the collapse coming in from all the members of Reborne there. Showtime a little bit low in the back line, but it's Urel, the self-sustained, very good. Punisher coming out, just laying the beat down on Astaroth. The Lornado pulled back in, and Diablo again in the front line, but this time Black Soulstone online. He'll be back in the fight to be able to defend once more. I think NEWMERICS just needs 6D to be able to defend this, and I don't know they're going to have a way to get it here.
This is, I mean, they don't have a minion wave. They don't really have, well, I mean, they've got a minion wave, kind of, but it's just going to get the pressure into the bottom lane keep front gate. They take that out. They open this map up a little bit more for themselves, and it looks like they're going to take a hard rotation in the mid and do the exact same thing. And making these retreat paths a little bit harder for the members of NEWMERICS is a huge play, but they get the arrow onto Deckard. Valimar, though, able to get out of here. Zabatok, though, is starting to flank a little bit here. Showtime going to be taking some damage. Going to get the leap right out of there. No big deal. Some roots going to be going out. Some unstoppables as well, but it doesn't look like they are able to chase a kill. They get 2 forts and a keep front gate, and I gotta say that was a great push for the members of Reborne here.
The timing on the Mighty Gust to disengage was perfect because it pushed back both the members of the front line on Team NEWMERICS, and it just gave them that breathing space to be able to finish the retreat after confirming the fort in that mid lane. Again, the resources, the timing right now between the two teams, NEWMERICS is struggling, I think, to really make their heroics matter, whereas on the other side, the members of Reborne doing a very good job stacking up their abilities and really making them count.
We actually have a big fight going out at this point as we have the BFG going out. We have the Diablo falling, and I do not think they have the souls. We also have Sonya falling as well. 2 members going to be falling as we have Hanzo finishing up that camp in bottom. So maybe a bit of a miscommunication as it will be the camp in mid going to be grabbed by the members of Reborne. They should get the clear onto the one that's going to be pressuring them as well as bottom. They'll have to do a little bit of lane management, but with these 2 kills, this still pushes them further. We're looking at a 19-17 difference. 20s will be on the cusp for Reborne, and they should actually have that for the next Punisher phase. And I don't think NEWMERICS will be able to fight this. They got to take a fight now as soon as Diablo is up.
And the problem with that is they really just don't. I honestly don't think they have the time to do it. It'll be another second here before Sonya respawns, and it's very possible that that level 20 might come in before all 5 members of Team NEWMERICS can get here to start this team fight. Now, it's a 5v4 if they can get here. The Blessed Shield coming out, stunning that backline, flying from Falstad, Mighty Gust. Level 20's online here. The window of opportunity has closed, but NEWMERICS are going for it. The Cleansing Flames coming in, chunking down that backline, but look at the health bars. Everybody up. The Great Flame buffed back in. Falstad going down in the middle of that fight. Lightning Breath coming out, but Caesar Salad falling in the middle of that. It's a 1-for-1. Health bars low, and Direct will get the indestructible and stay alive as that level 20 talent flexing on that chase.
That was a huge pickup from them as the Orbital BFG is going to do its thing, and it's going to be chunking down bottom lane a little bit here. And I gotta say, that play was really, really good for the members of NEWMERICS. Getting that kill onto the Falstad. Now, granted, Falstad does have the ability to just go ahead and fly right in, and actually going to be taking Epic Mountain this game, so going to have a little bit more damage for that back door potentially, as Hammer will be continually dealing damage to this bottom lane keep, but they need to wait for their Falstad for the next 20 seconds, or actually, you know what? They're going to go in for this, at least poke into this, as they have the Hammer and the camp pushing in top lane, Jay, and I don't think they can take this away from NEWMERICS.
Well, they have 20, but they also critically have their healer, and as soon as it... What an absolute deletion! the triple kill within a fraction of a second, as all of a sudden everything went down onto Junkrat, Hanzo, and Diablo, and that should be all she wrote for game number 2 as Reborne begin their march towards that top key.
I don't know if they can end off this, but the thing is they have Winterheart at the altar to go ahead and get the Skeletal Defenders and have the Punisher. Now the rest of the team will go ahead and prep this lane. I love this really, really fast-paced call. The other thing too is I love the use of the BFG there. They weren't afraid of just saying, you know what, we're going to give up the orbital factor for bottom and get an extra kill, and utilizing that there is a smart call. Reborn is going to go ahead and take down this keep. The Punisher won't even be up yet. They might even get a staggered death onto Caesar Saldes, but they will be getting into the Dragon or into the Cleansing Flame here. So just gonna get some poke damage, clearing out these waves as best they can. It saves them from staggering into death, and that's pretty big for them as they only need to wait 8 seconds for their Sonya, but they're gonna need to defend this Immortal down 20s.
The really dangerous thing here now is that lane is completely open. So they're going to give up this Punisher. It's a late game Punisher, almost 20-minute Punisher. Plus that lane is already pushed all the way to the core. I just don't see how it's going to be possible right now for NEWMERICS to defend this, still not having their Storm talent.
21-18. Punisher going down the lane. We have BFG repositioned onto the core to just kind of have that continually, you know, coming from the flank position. Hammer already sieging up. Okay, I was like, that's a far way hover, but it looks like we have the jump coming out from the Punisher at this time. We do have Diablo taking a whole lot of damage. Riptire will be coming out from the Junkrat as well. Alex Straza going to that dragon form. Caesar Sal just making sure that they can at least push them back here. We have the Falsehood flying into the friendly team. Gust is available just for that disengage if they want to go for that, but there is going to be the BFG hitting the Diablo there, and that's going to be a huge pickup for them, Jay.
It's a massive kill. Diablo getting completely isolated from the rest of his team and then obliterated by the collapse of Reborn. Look at the damage coming out from Winterheart. BFG coming in, 10-5 touchdown for Reborn. They'll complete the 2-0 sweep. They'll take third here in the HGC Open Division Cup #1 on the HeroesHype channel.
And I gotta say, those were some amazing games to get from these teams. I mean, looking at some of the damage that came out from this, 88,000 hero damage from a hammer. Junkrat was 10,000 off. Like, I saw some people were like, oh my god, hammer again? Well, hammer again, obviously.
Obviously. It was a really smart set of play from Unaverted both times we saw on the Sergeant Hammer. The ability to just stay back, not get himself into difficult positions as a Sergeant Hammer, so critical when you're trying to play Hammer at a high level. You have to be 100% aware of where you are and where your teammates are, because they're your support in a lot of cases. You have a lot of mechanics to get out, but they're on pretty lengthy cooldowns with the thrusters, the unstoppable, and your positioning is just so key, really on any hero, but Sergeant Hammer in particular.
I love this. Like, I really, really hope that we get to see more Hammer games. I want to see more of this just fight under the umbrella. I want to see what strategies develop in response to that. I think that's what I'm more excited about is the counterplay. For example, there's some teams that are, to deal with, a little bit of a diving nature of some teams, they'll play a Valera. And I've seen teams do it in NGS. I've seen teams do it in the HeroesHype Amateur Series. So it's all over the place. I've seen it, I think, in, I want to say, HGC EU as well has been running some Valera. So some interesting picks coming out from here and there. And it's definitely allowing us to see some heroes that I wouldn't say have fallen off, because they're really not in a bad spot at all. They've just not played that much, but with new heroes coming in and old ones kind of being phased out a bit, or some things, tiers of supports and tanks and such like that are being changed almost weekly with different patches. I love the kind of versatility that we're seeing in our current meta.
Yeah, the meta is really, really strong right now. There's a lot of opportunity to pull out these pocket strategies, and you have to say that Chromie ban makes perfect sense against a hammer, because Chromie's the only hero that has more ability range than the basic attack range of Sergeant Hammer. So you've got to know if that Chromie ban comes in first, you've probably got to take the hammer away from Reborn, because they seem to be going to it quite a bit, and it was really, really effective for them in these two games.
Well, with that, Jay, that's going to be wrapping it up for us in this first cup in the HGC Open Division on the HeroesHype channel. And I gotta say, this has been an absolute blast to be casting this with you in the this third, fourth place match, and to find out Reborne will be taking it. They'll be moving on with 75 points and $100, and NEWMERICS still they'll be taking home 60 points, and that's nothing to laugh about.
Exactly, puts them in a pretty good position moving forward, especially if they have another really solid showing in the cup number 2, which I think the registration is open for right now. I think it's open for all of the HGC Open Division cups from now until the end of the phase. So if you're out there, you think that you've got what it takes to hang with some of the best amateur teams coming up through the Open Division, make sure you guys head over to HeroesHype.com, get yourself registered for the next Heroes HGC Open Division Cup every Monday and Tuesday here on the HeroesHype channel. I'm excited to see what we get through the course of the Open Division phase, because there's so many cool teams, so many cool stories that we get to be a part of and bear witness to as they forge their path towards the Crucible.
And you said it right there. It's the path to the Crucible is the story, and that's the one thing that I get invested in a lot too. Is you have teams that come from seemingly nowhere. Like I know a couple. Like when we were loading into this, I was telling you, I was like, oh, I know that person, because like I've casted them in some other smaller leagues, and to see them go from a smaller league and come into here, and even if they don't win, but they they do well, or you see teams that you've seen just kind of floating around the amateur scene in some of the longer, bigger tournaments. It's just awesome to see a lot of them come here, and you recognize each other, you say hey, and then it's awesome to see them play and grow, because to cast someone from 6 months ago and then see them now it's awesome, and that adds to the story, at least for me. But as we're going to be kind of wrapping it up here, Jay, where can people find you? Social media, what are you doing? What are you up to?
I can be found pretty much everywhere on the internet at InanimateJ on Twitch and Twitter. I actually moonlight as a Heroes caster. My main gig is in Rocket League Community Esports, and that's where you can find me in elsewhere on the internet when you don't find me streaming pretty terrible games of PUBG on my personal channel. But it's been a blast, Bahamut. It's been an absolute pleasure actually to be alongside you in the booth for these 2 days of really good Heroes of the Storm, and I look forward to the next time I'm here on the HeroesHype channel.
Thank you so much. And you can find me at Bahamut Gaming on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, basically everywhere. I am Bahamut Gaming. And just once again, just to hit on the same note, head over to HeroesHype.com. If you are interested in checking out these, playing in these games, go to HeroesHype.com. There is the North American and European divisions available, so you can sign up for either or, respective to your region and all that good stuff. But definitely check it out if you are interested. But we've got 6 more of these cups. I am so excited about this. That wraps up cup number 1 here on the HeroesHype channel. We will be hosting over the main channel, I do believe, where they are going into, well, I won't say it because I won't spoil anything if anyone doesn't want that spoiled. But thank you so much to everyone who came out, supported the channel, supported these teams. It has been an absolute blast and an honor for me, as well as Jay. We'll be wrapping it up. I am Bahamut, and with InanimateJ, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for coming by.